study,
and play come together on a Windows 11 PC.
And for a limited time, college students get
the best of both worlds.
Get the Unreal College Deal. Everything you need to study and play with select Windows 11 PCs. Eligible students get a year of Microsoft 365 Premium and a year of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with a custom color Xbox wireless controller. Learn more at windows.com/student offer. While supplies last. Ends June 30th. Terms at aka.ms/collegepc.
Ready to soundtrack your summer? With Red Bull Summer All Day Play, you choose a playlist that fits your summer vibe the best. Are you a festival fanatic, a deep end DJ, a road dog, or a trail mixer? Just add a song to your chosen playlist and put your summer on track. Red Bull Summer All Day Play. Red Bull gives you wings. Visit redbull.com/brightsummer ahead to learn more. See you this summer.
Now at McDonald's, a McDouble is $2.50, so you can get your gym gains on, or just get lunch for only $2.50. Get more value on the under $3 menu.
Limited time only. Prices and participation may vary. Prices may be higher for delivery.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Hello there, Stanley Carr here. You know, I love collecting music and sports memorabilia. Want to know where you can find some? I'll tell you. Go to oldglory.com. This website features one-of-a-kind apparel from your favorite sports teams and musical artists. And I can help you get 15% off of all items. Use the code WWH135. Enjoy the episode.
Welcome to Wrestling with Heart, a podcast looking at pro wrestlers giving back to their community. Join me, Stanley Carr, as I interview wrestling's hottest names who use their platforms as entertainers to raise awareness and do community service.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Wrestling with Heart. This is the show where we talk with professional wrestlers and professional wrestling personalities about their lives in and outside of the ring, as well as doing acts of charity work, community service, volunteering, and spreading positivity. We're always about the positive vibes here on the show. And with me right now, I've got a very special guest. He has wrestled for ECW in the late 90s and early 2000s. As part of the Full-Blooded Italians, I am pleased to welcome Sal E. Graziano. Welcome to Wrestling with Heart.
Hey, man. Thanks for having me.
It's my pleasure. So talk to me about your childhood and upbringing. Where did you grow up?
Queens, right outside of JFK, Rosedale, New York. A lot of people, like, nobody knows where Rosedale is, except if you're from Rosedale. Fun fact, another professional wrestler, Greek god Papadon, is from Rosedale. He and I believe he and my brother were in the same class. Never knew each other until we, decades later, we were at a show and we started talking. I did an interview and mentioned I was from Rosedale, and he was like, "I'm from Rosedale." So like it was kind of funny finding old Rosedale people.
It's hilarious, finding common ground, commonalities with people that grew up near you, same hometown, similar styles and backgrounds and everything like that. So it's really cool. So was wrestling something you had watched as a kid growing up?
Nonstop, pretty much. I think any of the guys you've ever talked to, I mean, aside from the second gen guys, it's all pretty much the same story. We all absorbed anything we can find. Because now I know you could watch everything. You could watch like Ugandan Wrestling Federation on cable or something. But back in the day, it was like you had like Channel 9 and like Channel 5. And then maybe Lucha Libre on the fuzzy channel if you fiddled with the antenna. Yeah, I'm old enough to have antennas on my TV. So.
Well, New York, New Jersey, that whole area is just filled with lots of incredible wrestling action organizations, especially on the independent scene, because you got so many places to go watch wrestling.
Well, as a kid, my dad used to take me back when WWF used to run like churches in the schoolyards and churches. Vince used to run Brooklyn and Staten Island. So Brooklyn. I saw it in Staten Island. Like I used to see all the matches, the Samoans, Sergeant Slaughter, the Bulldogs, every Snuka, all those guys, JYD. Those were the guys I went to see, and was Swede Hansen was one of my favorite dudes. Like, and Blackjack Mulligan, and like so. It was different because when those things would happen, it was like a big deal. Now it's a completely different animal. Like that's changed so much. But yeah, what is available now as opposed to was available back then is just two different things, man. But it was, yeah. Any chance we got to go, it was amazing.
Who would you say was like your ultimate favorite wrestler to watch?
So, for two reasons, it was Blackjack Mulligan on TV because when you would put the claw on, they would put a big X over the screen and you couldn't see it. So you were like, oh man. And then got older, and as you're getting older, growing up, watching Jake Roberts. And then when I got old enough to start like getting wrestling magazines and stuff, and I found out that there's other wrestling. Like there's something called NWA. Where's that at? And who the heck knows that? Or Japan. Who the heck's over in Japan? Like there's a whole other, all new universes to be explored. So that was I think growing up though, Vader and Muda were two of my favorites. And then of course, yeah, honestly, I don't care who you are, and whatever. I'm gonna get heat for it, but this guys like Sting, um, you know, the Steiners. Like, though I was in high school when those guys were coming up, so like they just hit perfectly, and it was different than WWF because that was, they had started going, the cartoon way, and being a teenager and edgy, you want real stuff. So, but yeah, Papa Shango, the Warrior, all those guys. It was even so. That's the fun part. Even the guys you hated, you liked them. So people could say, "Oh, I hated this guy. Oh, I hated Hulk Hogan." You did, but when he was on there, you were staring at the screen. You would not stop watching. Even if you were screaming at him, cursing him, whatever you were doing, you were still watching that screen, not doing something else, not changing the channel. You weren't leaving. You were sitting there watching.
Did you prefer 80s Hogan with the classic red and yellow, or did you prefer him NWO, black
I
and white?
was I was an '80s Hogan guy. Only just because it was just like that was he was the icon, and I know it's polarizing, and people who doesn't like NWO or who does like NWO. I mean, it's all smart business. Yeah, and that's really what it came down to. He's all smart business. Everything he did, whatever he touched, he fixed, turned to gold.
He was a superhero.
Yeah, exactly. And then so like one of a story I got to. My dad was an electrician, and he had got me. He used to work in Manhattan, so he brought me to work one day, and on the set of whatever Regis Philbin's show before it was Regis and Kathy Lee, I think. I don't remember. It was WrestleMania 1, and I was in the back just like with my dad, and I got to kind of meet Hulk Hogan and Mr. T. But it was the thing of like Hogan like kind of walked by, didn't say anything, and then Mr. T sat and like talked for a little bit and was like, "Hey, so it was kind of cool. I got to meet Mr. T, but years and years later, I when I did actually come across Hulk Hogan, I told him that he scarred a little kid for life, and he goes, "Oh man, that was you." So it was kind of funny, but yeah, it was like that was my whole life. Like that's what anybody who wanted to get in the business, not even knowing that it was a business. It was just like, I'm going to be a wrestler. That was your thing. You'd write on your paper. What do you want to be? I want to be a wrestler. Okay. And there we go. Okay, great. Oh,
Yeah,
little weird homeless kid.
yeah. You brought up earlier like the other companies like the NWA and wrestling all around the world, and I think as you grew up reading all the magazines, they kind of helped expose you to all those different companies, different territories. So you kind of got a little bit of a wrestling education, so to speak, when it came to reading all those publications.
Yeah, it's a different thing because those were just guys in black and white, and occasionally you got the color. It was always somebody bleeding if it was a color pull out thing. But yeah, it was those guys were black and white, and they weren't real people. um, until I saw them. Until I saw, because we didn't have cable in New York. I know that's like it could have all been solved if we had cable. Like we were, I think I saw on like U68. That's in New York and New Jersey. I don't know if people are aware when you go on the U channels. That's the channels that used to be on the TV below like 2, 4, 5, 7, 9, and 11 and 13. Everything else was on another knob, and it was like legitimately all static and fuzzy. And you had to fiddle with the antennas and stuff. And I saw Florida Championship Wrestling, and I saw Dusty Rhodes, the Purple Haze, I believe the Road Warriors, and Nikita Koloff, and maybe I was Ivan. But I remember seeing these guys going, "Oh, I know these guys," because I read about them in magazines, and I knew that everybody knew the Road Warriors. Like they were everywhere. Even if you didn't know them from the NWA, you saw them somewhere. So it was like, I saw these guys actually wrestle in Florida Championship Wrestling at like 12 at night and 1 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday night. Snuck downstairs and watched wrestling on the scrambled TV, and it was a different thing altogether. It wasn't the cartoony WWF stuff, and it wasn't it just seemed so much like raw and scarier. Like, oh man, this is crazy. And then it was just styles, different styles, and then the characters that came from them were just as loud and just as like crazy, but they all hit different. So it was really kind of cool, like getting to learn in that era, not
At what age did you decide this is what I want to do?
So it was always in my head. And again, no internet, so you couldn't look up wrestling schools. Like the only place you saw them were in wrestling magazines. So there was one for like Exotic Adrian Street in Florida, or the Good Heart Wrestling, or all these guys who, as I'm a kid, I'm 14, 13, 14, even going up 15, 16. I didn't have a car. So, I mean, these places might as well be on the sun. Like they were so far away. Like, how am I going to get there? That whole thing. Um, and it was just kind of one of those things of, I went to a show and actually met through Hugh Morris, Bill DeMott. Through him, I got introduced to Joel Goodhart, who had a school, and he told me about he's like, come to that school. And I said, yeah, you're just super far. I was living in Jersey at this point. And he was like, oh, come to the school. And I was like, well, I don't know. I just don't have, I don't have that ability, but then wound up working it out. But I've wanted to do it forever. And actually, at one point, I took a vocational test in high school. My friend's mom was the lady who did it for the state. She was a part of the Board of Education. She came around and did vocational tests. And I took my vocational test, and she wrote on top of my test, she's like, sorry, WWF is not in this selection. Because she knew, like that we all knew, because that's all we talked about as kids. Like, me and my friends, it's all we ever talked about. Everything we did had to do with wrestling. And it was just like, I'm sure we were annoying as hell. Like,
So it's been a dream since childhood.
yeah, it was always one of those things where you always want to do it. Never knew what it entailed. That's the thing. You never knew what that meant. Just being a wrestler. I'm a wrestler now. Okay, great.
And
Okay.
Yeah. I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm
No,
sorry.
no, not at all. You trust me, you got to cut me off. I'll keep talking.
It looks so easy on TV, but it's actually harder than it seems to be because you're constantly having to go through so much pain and agony, and you have to go through so much struggle to make it.
I mean, yeah, that's a huge part of it. But there's, the part of it that you don't ever think about, because you never think you're going to get tired of it. You never think you're going to be worn down. You never think you're going to be like, I don't want to do this today. But that's the hard part, the grind. And because it's just like any other job, man, you're going to hit the point where you're grinding. And you're like, today, come on, just one day. No.
Let's talk about wrestling school. You'd mentioned you were kind of looking up different schools.
Mhm.
At where did you? At what point did you kind of settle on one and start training?
Oh,
And walk me through the process.
sure. So, my dad actually found Johnny Rods' school. That was in Brooklyn, and he was traveling into the city each day for work. And we came up with, okay, well, I was going to be getting my license soon, that sort of thing. So he would drive me into Gleason's. He'd go to work, drop me off, or he would I'd go with him, and then whatever the deal was. And so yeah, we did that. He made it work. He did a lot for me. He gave a lot to get me to do it because at one point I think he'd always said that he had an opportunity at one point to do it, but he didn't because he was going to get married. And he met my mom and the whole bit. So he wound up just going the straight and narrow path of being an electrician, which is smarter, way smarter. But yeah, he facilitated my dreams of doing this. So it was amazing. And then I met Johnny, and um, it was just kind of like I met. So let's see. I'm trying to think. Angel, Spanish Angel from the Baldies, Kingpin, and Dreamer, Taz, Devon. They're all Big Vito. They're all Johnny guys. So it's like those were the guys I got to start with, and I was very lucky. I got to train with those guys, and then we do shows. We travel, and I got to work with veterans. I got to work with like Nikolai Volkov, Ken Patera, Junkyard Dog, SD Jones. Those were the guys I was working with my first like 10 matches. It was like a summer just doing a circuit with those guys. And it was like Cousin Luke, Jimmy Snuka, like all those guys. And then through that, Sergeant Slaughter, the periphery of those guys. You meet more people, and it just the circle gets wider, and then you're like, oh my God. And that's like the first thing you got to do. I'm 17 years old, and I'm like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And it's just like, okay, stop, man, relax.
It's like a wealth of knowledge because there's so many legends like you're getting to learn from and bump shoulders with, and
Yeah.
they're giving you all this advice. Any pieces of advice that you got from Johnny or from any of the people that you had mentioned starting out that you've applied to today, even after your time in the business?
Every opportunity, honestly. It is a lot of times it's just life lessons. Like, don't don't give in, don't rush into anything, common sense stuff. But when you're applying it to wrestling, it's usually in some weird different context that's not real life, because again, so uh, let me ask you a question. So if somebody turned around and said, okay, look, we'll give you an extra $300. Do you want to wrestle a bear? And you go, oh, $300? Sure. I mean, that's stupid. That's just stupid. But I was willing. I was, yeah, I'll do it. That'd be great. And it was dumb. But I wanted to. I wanted to like be a doer so bad. I wanted to help out. I want to be the guy you can ask to do whatever. And in a business where maybe it's not the best person to be, like don't be the guy that everybody always has to come ask because then they will. And and it's like, but still, it's like those are life lessons, little things that okay, yes, you're not wrestling a bear every day, but put a different spin on it, and you could apply any of these lessons to real life. Whether you work in an office, whether are mowing lawns, whether you're selling hot dogs, it's all the same, man. You can just apply all of these lessons to life.
Yeah, and so you learn so much from these legendary figures in the business. You make your debut after putting the fundamentals together. What was your first match like? Were you timid? Were you afraid?
Oh, absolutely, 100% on all. So, and the thing was, it was like wrestling on my own, on my own, not with Johnny, not with like Vito, or not with like guys like who I'd gotten used to, like no problem. But my first match was at the Browns Hotel in the Catskills against Joshua Ben-Gurion, who was the Israeli champion. Guy was like 7 foot tall or something. And it was like I was petrified. Like, not scared of him. I was scared of, like, oh man, what if I screw up? What if I suck? What if everybody like boos me for, not because I'm the heel, but because I stink? That sort of thing. Um, yeah, there's a lot, performance anxiety, and you get over that really quick because I wore a mask my early years because I wasn't like Johnny used to make fun of me. I had a baby face, and he used to make fun of me all the time. And look at you, oh, you ain't scary. And I'm like, what do you want me to do? I'm like, this is what I look like. And he just mask on me, and that was my biggest help. Johnny helped. Like that was like that was like a switch got flipped. I put the mask on. It's like boom, I can go out and do whatever I want, say whatever I want. It's not even me. I'm never gonna get in trouble for any of this stuff. Um, yeah, it was like really a game changer. But yeah, that was my first match. I was petrified, and my whole family was there. Um, like they all they schlepped up to the Catskills for 3 hours to come see me do this stupid stuff. Um, but yeah, it was fun. My grandmother, I'm wearing a mask, of course, so I'm, running. My grandmother is screaming my name, my real name, and she's going, Sal, Sal. My dad's going, don't call him Sal. She's yelling, screaming, and the guy came over to we got, I went over to my family with this guy and punched him outside the ring. My grandmother's hitting him. She took a swing at him. Like it was just like, oh man. But again, it's something I will never ever forget. It was it was an amazing weekend. That the whole weekend was just great. You got to live this fantasy, this dream of like being a wrestler because they took care of us all weekend. We had one night of a show, but they let us, we were there all weekend. It was just amazing.
Well, your confidence grew for sure because once you were able to play that character and be that heel, it just opened the door for you to do other things.
Yeah, like honestly, it's like once you get to do that, then, and it's funny. So people who know me, it's just kind of one of those things where I'm not like that 24/7, and it's I hope people understand that. But there's a part where it's like if I just have the mindset, you can just flip the switch. Okay, well, we need Grots out here. Okay, let's go, and we'll do it. And then I need some jaw jacking done. Okay, yeah, let's go do it. That sort of thing. And it was something you got to practice, and all the teachers who were like, well, Mr. Valente, see what being a smart guy gets you. And it's like, well, okay. It's like, and you think about it, and the funny part was my principal from Woodbridge High School. He just passed, Mr. Kuchek. He he used to see me on TV. I used to do Good Day New York, and I used to come in late to school because I would do Good Day New York and then come in. And he would go, I come walking in, and Mr. Valenti. And I go, how are you, Mr. Kuchek? He's like, oh, man, I'm doing great. I just watched Good Day New York, and I saw some guy. Reminds me a lot like you. It wasn't you, though, because you're sick. You were coming in late, right? That's why you were coming in late. So he used to love coming. He came to a bunch of our ECW shows afterwards, too. He loved everything about wrestling, him and his son. But, yeah, they were amongst the people who were in the beginning. They were there with me and told me, go for it, do it. And then, there are the people who are like, oh, that's not a real job, or, that's not a thing, that you can't make a living from that. And you're like, okay, well, I mean, yes and no. But
Sure.
yeah.
You were able to do it.
Yeah. So, yeah. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, at what point did ECW come along? At what point were you recruited by Paul Heyman, or did somebody come up to you, approach you about?
Devon asked me to send him a tape. He goes, hey, could you get a tape together? I said, yeah, sure. I got something. And I legitimately, like at that point, I had just broken an ankle at an indie show. I broke my ankle at an indie show. And he said, "Could you come in?" I said, "Oh, I just broke my ankle." He's like, "What?" I said, "Yeah." So I think it was like 4 weeks later, I popped the cast off and I went to Queens and I did a tryout. And I worked with Spike, and from that point on, they gave me the job. They were desperate, I guess.
Well, this was at the time when WWF and WCW were competing head-to-head, and then ECW really came along as this third entity, and it was really starting to rise, especially in the late 90s. You know, had all these guys come in and really kind of take over in a sense.
Yeah. Ironically, when we used to watch, before I ever even thought about anything remotely attached to ECW, we would watch it on MSG. You know, I was a bouncer, and we'd watch it on TV, or I'd come home and it was on, and I'm like, "What is this? This is insane." I'm like, "This isn't even wrestling. What the hell is this?" And I would watch and be like, "Yeah, no, that's crazy. I'm not doing that." And and then I was like, "Oh, there's Dreamer. Okay. Oh, Taz is there. All right. Oh, Shane. Okay. All right." And then it was just kind of like when Devon had asked me over. I did like I said, I gave him the tape, and then he told me, after I got over my the stupid ankle thing, and then it was just like, yeah, wound up I get the job with them, and it was like, now I was on the other side of the fence, I guess. So it was like, it just didn't seem as scary, although now I had a whole new laundry list of fears. So it was like, kind of like, all right, well, we'll just play this by ear and see how it goes.
How are you able to overcome those fears when you talk about going through ECW for the first time and entering in this brand new promotion?
So I was lucky in that I made friends. Guys like, so again, a guy who lives in he was in the next school over. We were rivals. Danny Doring. He lived next town over from me. So like we were neighbors and never knew it. Dawn Marie. Dawn went to my school, my high school.
Oh.
So it was like, she was older than me. She'd kill me for saying it. She was older than me, so she was a senior when I was younger. But that's how it works. But she like I traveled with them, Roadkill, guys like Nova. I made friends with these guys, and they were, it wasn't so much. It was like just hanging out with your friends, and it was like-minded individuals to a degree. And if there was, there's something that you didn't understand, you'd kind of bring it up. I wasn't afraid to talk to them about stuff. So I could say, "Oh, hey, what about this?" Because I didn't know anything. I was still kind of like, still new. So it was like, all right, well, I mean, doing indies and stuff, but now this is a different animal. So I would ask, and luckily I was able to talk to have those guys around me. And plus I have other friends. I have, guys who I still talk to this day. I still talk to Danny, still talk to Roadkill, Tony and guys like that. So I was lucky. I was, I hate overusing the word because everybody uses, "Oh, you're blessed." I mean, I was like, I lucked out every step of the way, because it could have been so much worse. Like if you're alone on the road and stuff, I can't imagine it. I can't imagine being alone, because that would have been the worst thing ever.
It's hard.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Because you're constantly like trying to figure out, where am I supposed to go? What time do I supposed to arrive at the arena? Go to my hotel? Where do I eat? All these things.
All that stuff's easy. That stuff's taken care of. Like they tell you, you got to be here at this point. You got to be here at that point. You got to do this, and you're there. It's the other stuff. It's the, okay, well, show's over. Now what do we do? So, it's like the choice as well. You can go to a bar, go to your room and drink, or, go.
Where is Daredevil? I'm right here. Don't miss the return of Marvel Television's Daredevil Born Again.
So what's next?
I feel liberated. We're going to take this city back. Over-medicated. In an all-new season, now streaming only on Disney+.
They're hunting us. It's time we started hunting them.
I can work with that.
This should be tons of fun.
Marvel Television's Daredevil, Born Again, now streaming only on Disney+.
Or, go to your room, play video games with the other guys. And, we saw a comic shop. Let's go to this comic shop. Or, hey, we saw this toy store. Let's go check this place out. Oh, they got figures here. Cool. Let's look at it. All the nerd stuff. So it was the people you hung out with kind of definitely colored how you spent your time when you weren't working.
Do you remember making your debut in ECW, plans to put you together with the FBI, Full-Blooded Italians? How did that all come about?
Oh, so they didn't know what to do with me. Like, Paul had no idea. I think at one point there was something he wanted to put me with Chris Chetty and Danny Doring. He was going to call me Sally Nightlife, and I was going to be the bouncer, and I was going to hold a disco ball over their heads while they cut promos, and we would have like the little the velvet rope, and do the whole like you can't come in, they don't want you in, that sort of thing. And that it just never came together, and they sent Chris a different way, and Danny went with Roadkill. Then they put me with like Just Incredible and his crew because he had like the Misfit toys for a bit. So like with Jason and Chastity and those guys. So it was like I was with them for a while, and then I did some solo stuff like Cronus and stuff like that. But then it just the one time they kind of put me and they called Sally Graziano, and it was like okay, and then put me with Guido and then carry him out. I was his golf cart for a while, so did that. And then after that, like then it was the pay-per-view when we started, coming back and forth. And then Tracy, working with Tracy. So again, I knew Tracy from, watching NWA, WCW, and just didn't know all the things he's ever done and didn't know what he had to offer. He was brilliant. You know what I mean? Like he was just a genius, and he was hysterical. Like honestly, he was like one of the best guys. And so it was like, getting to work with him, getting to work with Tommy Rich. I mean, Tommy Rich was going to be the, next Ric Flair. I mean, didn't work that way, but he was gonna. They started that road with him, and he had like all the things he's done and seen, and he's tell the stories, and that's one of the best ways. Like you just sit around and hear them talk, and it's like amazing, just some of the stories that you hear.
It's a good way to pass the time too, because you're constantly on the road, away from your families. It's like it's a drive.
Yep.
It could drive or flying, whatever the case may be, but you're constantly traveling.
Yeah, and it's and again, so a lot of people have said this a few times when they're like, "Oh man, it must be awesome! You wrestle in the ring for 10 minutes and you're done." Yeah, except you're at the building at 1:00 and the show's at 6, and you're sitting around until that time, or doing whatever. So, and then you wait after the show. You got to do promos. So now it's 10:00, and now you're waiting to do promos, or you're waiting for this room to open up so you guys can get in and shoot your stuff. So it's like now it's 11, 12 o'clock. So now you've spent 14 hours at this place.
Yeah,
all day.
It's a lot.
I mean, and now we got to drive to the next building and do it again. People are like, "Oh man, 10 minutes in the ring and you're done. That's a great job." It's like, yeah, that'd be a wonderful job.
It's a grind, and people don't realize how stressful it can be because you're constantly doing it. It's a lot. It takes a toll on your body, and you really have to condition it to get in that mindset. So you were in ECW 3 years, is that correct?
97 through 2001.
Okay, so you were there right up until it closed.
Yep.
That had to have been hard because this is a promotion that I have by all accounts when I've spoken to talent from ECW on the show, they've said nothing but incredible things about the relationships, the family dynamics. It was like a brother sisterhood. really the locker room just shared a common bond. And to see that being gone, that's like a gut punch.
I think, and I'm sure everybody would tell you the same thing if you ask from WWF or everything else. I think the ECW locker room was probably one of the tightest places. You know what I mean? Like, it was a little different. I felt like, so for those of us who didn't, who weren't on the inside track of certain things, we were fighting for everything for it. Like, we were willing to do anything for Paul and for ECW. I mean, I know it sounds corny, but there was people who we were just willing to do whatever they wanted. Like, you want us to do this? You want us to jump off a ladder? Sure. Jump through a table? Sure. I'll do this. You want to sit on a fire? Sure. Let's do it. Who cares? Let's go. Yeah, for the show. Yeah. And I know, people are, that's stupid. Yeah, it is stupid, but it was a mindset. It was a different mindset. And I don't think you can find that everywhere. So when this closed down, it was really like, ugh. And everybody took it in stride. Nobody was crying. Like, nobody was sitting there, oh, what am I going to do? Like, it just sucked. It was like, man, like, I know it's business, but it just sucked. So it stung. It stung a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, and I know people are like, oh, screw this, do that. Yeah, but in the end, it was a little more than a job. It meant a little more.
It was like a family.
It was, and I know that's cliche, and everybody says it about every place, but
Did you have any thoughts about going to the WWE or continuing to wrestle on the independents?
So I had my first. The one reason I missed the one pay-per-view, I had back surgery. I had spinal surgery, and then like an idiot, I was like, "Oh, I feel better. I'm going to go wrestle again." So I moved down to Kentucky, and I was kind of hanging out in OVW for a little bit. Just kind of actually, I got more interested in behind the scenes stuff. Like, I was like, yeah, that's being in the ring isn't my strong suit. Maybe, I don't know. Like, I felt like maybe do stuff behind the camera or do stuff creative. And that's what I got to learn. Um, Al Snow was nice enough to let me kind of hang out and watch and pick up ideas and talk. And I met a lot of guys. I met future friends who I wound up meeting later on in life, who was just like Ben Hameen. He was creative for OVW. He was writing for them, and he was Derby City, DCW, and so like and then you get to network, because that's the biggest thing. You meet people and you network, and then you see them somewhere down the road, because you see everybody down the road. That is okay. So that's a life lesson. If anybody's listening, and I'll try to word this as gently as possible. Just don't be a dick, because you're going to see everybody again. You're going to see them again, whether you're up here or whether you're down here. You're going to see those people again. So, I don't know. Maybe they've never said anything to me, but I don't. I hopefully can count on one hand people who don't like me, because I don't think I've ever just been outwardly awful to someone, unless they really deserved it. I mean, at that point, it's just like, I just can't. I never saw the need for it. And especially now. And now I'm older and I understand. I mean, completely. Just, there's no need for that anymore. There's no need to do it, and there's no need to the negativity is kind of like, I mean, you want to be edgy or funny, that's one thing. And if you're doing it for entertainment purposes, that's fine. But just remember, man, you're going to see those people again. And maybe they might be on top when you're on the bottom. You never know.
You never know. Always be kind, be good to others. I want to talk about some of the stuff you've been able to do outside of the ring. I know you're very involved in your community, have been doing some things, working with kids over the years. What talk to me about that and elaborate some of the work that you've been able to do.
So I was working for a few years with special needs adults. and it was a vocational counseling, um, day centers where they would be from group homes, kind of life enrichment stuff. They want to just kind of they instead of just leaving them in the house, let them sit in a group home and hang out and kind of watch TV, sort of thing. They would come to these centers and abilities in Northwest New Jersey. They would, everything, arts and crafts, cooking, the whole bit, like just and even just some like life skills, like show how to work with counting money, do laundry, things like that, like stuff that people are like, yeah, I do that every day. I don't want to do that. But for certain people, that's learning it was an amazing thing for them. And it was really cool to be able to do that. Um, I started out driving a bus for them. They needed a bus driver. And I was like, all right, sure. And then it was, hey, we need help. Can you come in? Yeah, sure. Run in, help out. And then I started talking to some of the consumers that were there, the guys who were there. And then, hey, where's Mr. Sal at? That sort of thing. And then, come on, could you come in? They're looking for you. I said, all right, go back in. And we start talking, because here the thing is, there's not there at the time. I can't speak right now, but at the time there wasn't a lot of guys who were doing this, and it was like some of these guys are older gentlemen who are in their 60s and 50s and 60s, and yes, they're fine with the ladies helping them out or whatever, but then they wanted people to talk to. Some of these guys were in the service back in there when they were 20, and they want to curse or they want to say something, and they don't want to do it in front of the girls. So, they appreciate having a guy around so they could say stuff and, someone to talk to. And then that's all in the end, everybody wanted. They wanted somebody to like hang out with and talk to. And again, it's not hard to just, kind of just show some compassion about someone and kind of, you know, somebody who's kind of gets overlooked. And that's the thing. These guys get overlooked. It's something that it really kind of, as much as I love doing it, that was part, I was soured on it because I saw the technical aspect of it, because these guys couldn't come to this group thing unless insurance paid for it. And it's like, why? Just let them come here. Like, I mean, not for nothing, the output of money is nothing. This is a nonprofit. So, I don't understand, why can't everybody get to do this? Why can't you have people go to the houses, go to the homes and hang out and talk or do something? Just because otherwise, like, these people just sit and languish and don't do anything. And it drove me nuts. I just hated it.
You want to be able to have activities go on and kind of be that fatherly figure or parental figure to someone that's
Or even
may need it.
The thing is, like, there was not even just parental, like guiding them, sure, but some of these guys just needed somebody to talk to, because again, who are they going to talk to? Their housemate who maybe isn't verbal. I mean, so this guy's a roommate with a nonverbal. I'm using a guy as an example because this was a true thing. His roommate was nonverbal, and his roommate didn't interact. He would go and come in and he would do puzzles, not talk to anybody. He would say hello, like he would nod. He didn't speak. So people would say good morning to him, and he'd nod and wave and go right to his table, do his puzzles, because that was his routine. His roommate served in the army in, like, I think it was like 1950 something, 60 something, and he had a head trauma. So, later on in his life, he was now he was unable to carry on the way he did. So he was in a group home. But this guy still had a lot of himself going on. He was still a normal person. He just didn't have the functionability that he had at one point. So this guy wanted to tell dirty jokes, and he wanted to watch funny movies, and he wanted to, make fart jokes and do things like that. And he wanted to see naked ladies. That was his big thing. He was a hound, this guy. But like that, it's the thing. I hate saying it like that, but they're just like everyone else, and they get overlooked because they go, oh, he's in a home, he's in a group home, and that sort of thing. And it's like, being on the inside track and seeing that aspect, or the woman who she just all she wanted to do was like she wanted to take care of babies. So she had like the whole lineup of carriages and dolls, and took care of these babies every day. And I mean, whatever you want to call it, it's what gave her a purpose to wake up in the morning. And that's the thing. If you don't have a reason to get up in the morning, I mean, you just don't want to. That makes life a lot harder. Like I was telling you, if you're alone on the road, it's how much that stinks. Imagine being alone in life all the time.
Yeah.
Like there is no family to go home to. So these things were important, and it wasn't. I'll be honest. It wasn't until I was experienced it firsthand that I realized that this was a whole aspect of life I'd never thought about, never saw it, never knew it existed. So it was. Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
When you see these things in person, it changes you.
Very much so.
Because this is like reality in a sense, kind of setting in. It's like this is it's a tough situation that you're looking at, and how do you kind of put yourself in a situation where you're able to mentor them.
Yeah, and see that's the thing too. It's like it's funny to think of it as a mentor thing, because some of those guys, and girls and women, men and women, they're older than I was, and it just hit on a double level for me, because it's like, man, what about if my parents, what if that happens to them, and like it wound up, I wound up taking care of my mom her last few years of life because she was suffering from dementia, and I didn't want to put her in a group home because I know what that meant. So me and my brother, we took care of her, and 24/7, 7 days a week, like we were with her. And, it would be funny because, my mom was different than these guys, and she had no problem telling me where to go and what to do. And, let's go do this. No, just get out of here. That sort of thing. Yeah, there was no recourse. I couldn't control her. She's my mom. So
what did you find the most rewarding about volunteering in your community?
Well, it was so I did that. I wound up getting a job with them, and then it was after that that I volunteered for mentoring, and I would get developmentally challenged teens between the ages. I say teens, so between the ages of like 17 and then 30, it could be up to 30, 35, I think it would cutoff was. But it was just like, okay, and then just kind of doing that thing where you go and hang out with them. Oh, hey, man, you got to go. You want to go run errands? Let's go do some errands. Let's go get some stuff done. And you kind of go, you ask them all kinds of different things. You got hey, man, did you do your laundry today, bro? Just the reminder stuff, because they were set up in group homes that were making sure they had their own places to live. They had their own apartment. So I would go over and kind of just, hey, what are you doing, man? How's everything going here? Did you vacuum in here, man? The place stinks. That sort of thing. You talk to them like your friend, just like your friend would. And it was them able to sort out their own stuff. I didn't have to tell them to do that. They would do that on. Oh well, yeah. I mean, you know what? I was gonna vacuum today. Yeah, okay, go ahead, man. I'll hang out. I'll hang out while you vacuum. So they'd vacuum, and that that's on them. Like that's their responsibility. And it just made things better. It's not somebody telling you what to do. It's, we're hanging out and just, hey man, look, did you do that today? Oh, you know what? I should. Okay, cool.
You reminded them.
Yeah. And it was just kind of like, you gave them a little nudge, and that's sometimes all they needed. And it's weird because, again, the first thing I thought of when somebody brought this program thing up to me, and I was like, oh wow, he's living by themselves. Like, that's, oh my gosh. there's honestly, there's little. I mean, and I don't want to keep saying it, but like there was no chance we were going to burn the house down, sort of thing. Like that wasn't the problem. The problem was certain cognitive things. The problem was in their mind they would rather sit and watch TV than take a shower. Little things that in society don't work if you don't do them. So they don't need a group home to be structured or a hospital to live in and be told do this, do this. They just needed to figure it out for themselves, and sometimes you just nudge them. That's all. And I mean, I know some people might not agree with it, but it's just I don't know. I felt it was less strict, and we would do. I honestly I got to be the fun uncle. Like I didn't have to do any of the downer stuff. I had to go over and I'm like, oh hey man, we got to run errands today. Oh, you want to hit the flea market, man? We'll go check out the videos. Yeah, let's go look at the wrestling tape. All right, cool. Let's go look at this. Let's go look at the card. You want to go to the card shop? You want to go look at Pokemon stuff? Sure, okay, let's go, man. How much money you got? Oh, let's go over the budget. What do you got today? So we got to go over the budget, and in doing that, then we could find out how much money he got to spend on Pokemon, or what he wanted to buy dice for D&D or something. And then it was just that's real life, man. That's what you do. You might not need somebody to hold your hand and help you out with it, but you know,
sometimes you have to.
yeah. I mean, and I was glad I was there.
What is it about giving back to the community that gives you the most joy?
So I have never ever refused a fan who's asked me for an autograph. Whether they like me or hate me, I don't care. My view is I'm able to do this for you. That's what you want. I can do that for you, no problem. It costs me nothing. And without you, I'm not here. Without you, I don't exist. So doing something like this, I get to I mean, again, like I said, I wasn't exposed to it. I had no idea. I had my own ideas of what that meant, of what, um, again, even the verbiage, you know, just being exposed to that world. Once you're open to that, you can't pretend it's not there anymore. You can't be like, oh, it doesn't exist. It does. And if you've ever been in your house, your apartment, your parents' house, it doesn't matter. If you've ever been somewhere and you're like, oh, I'm bored today. I'm bored. I have nothing to do. And then you imagine that being your whole life, or not having the capability to say, I want to do something today because I don't want to be bored anymore. You can work that all out in your head and I'm going to call my friend. I'm going to go to a movie. I'm going to do something. And it just, knowing that people are out there that can't do that, knowing there are people who don't have the ability to just figure out simple life things. If I'm able to help them, I'm glad I can. Like it's the least I can do. It's just kind of one of those things. Like I said, once you know it's there, you can't ever pretend it's not.
It's all about paying it forward.
I guess, yeah. I don't hate using cliches, and I'm using so many of them. It's terrible.
Well, before we go, do you keep up with the current product at all? Do you still stay in touch with any of your former colleagues?
Yeah, there are guys who I will talk to until they bury me and they come to my funeral. And I told them I'm going to make them come to my funeral. I'll have something set up for them that bust their chops at my funeral. But yeah, there are guys I talk to daily that like. I talk to Tony, Mama Luke. I talk to him daily. Stevie Richards, guys like him. Danny Roadkill. I talk to him all the time. I did the one thing I did, Shen. I'm going to show you. I don't know if you can. I don't know if you could see him.
Yeah.
Okay. That's Gunther.
Okay.
So yeah, he is by far, I think, one of my one of my favorites of the current date and product. He is a big fan.
He's definitely a very good wrestler.
You don't like
Very
him,
old.
huh?
Well, he's old. He's old school.
Exactly.
He's very good at his job. He's a very good heel. He does his job real well.
If you ever get a chance, look up his old Big Van Walter stuff with Colt Cabana.
Mm-hmm.
Well worth it.
I will definitely check that out for sure. Well, Sal, I want to say thank you for coming on to Wrestling with Heart. It means a lot to me and to my listeners and viewers that are watching this on YouTube. Where can people find out more about you on social media? And if you have anything you want to plug, feel free.
Okay, so let's see. We got Jack's Wrestling Universe this weekend. I'm terrible with dates, man. It's like the 26th. It's a Sunday from 1 to 4 in Hicksville, Long Island. We're going to be at the mall doing a signing. There's going to be a laundry list of people. Crowbar, Just Incredible, Shane Douglas, the FBI, Rhino. There's going to be just, I think, Joel Gertner, sign guy. A lot of people going to be there. That's this weekend. Next, and then we do SPO, which is the Wrestling Academy in Mount Holly. I do with Johnny Cashmere. I do color commentary with them for their show. And you can look that up on YouTube, SPO Academy. And then I do ACW, the color commentary, co with Dave Sturcho. And that's in Poughkeepsie. It's on the May 14th is our thing. You can check it out on Triller, but you can see it on YouTube. There's tons of clips and stuff. So an amazing show. We've had David Arquette, Gangrel showed up, the Hardy Boys showed up. It's been like a roller coaster. It's been insane. And that every time I go in to work on that one, it's just something new. So it's like it is legitimately just kind of brought back a love for the business that kind of went away for a bit. I am a huge fan of Vic and Hale, the Now. They have brought something to wrestling, which is amazing. Like they got something going, and it's amazing. And I'm glad to be involved with it. But yeah, I mostly watch indie stuff. I watch indie all the time. Watch anything I can as far as independent wrestling, JCW, GCW, all anything like that. So yeah,
Definitely, the independents are thriving right now. I feel like that
amazing.
they're incredible. I mean, a lot of promotions are doing real well. So I love the indies. They're
Yes.
doing some good stuff.
Yep, guys like Tommy Fierro and everybody in Jersey, man. And I'm like, I could sit for the next 15 minutes naming Jersey guys. I mean, it was always a clique of some sort, but the stuff that everybody's doing now has just been pretty amazing stuff.
Yes. Here's hoping it continues.
Jen, man.
Well, Sal, thanks so much again.
Thank you so much for having me, man.
And you're more than welcome to come back.
You let me know, brother. Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Have a good night.
You too.
This is Wrestling with Heart. I hope you found this podcast to be informative and entertaining. If you did, please hit the subscribe button and look out for the next edition.